political panel now. Bryan Lanza is a Republican strategist and former senior advisor to Trump's 2024 campaign. And Kurt Bardella is a Democratic strategist and NewsNation political contributor. Great to have both of you here. Kurt, I'd like to start with you. Keir Starmer started his visit today with a charm offensive, bringing a letter from King Charles inviting Trump to what he called a historic, unprecedented second state visit to the king. But then he pushed back pretty forcefully on Trump's trust of Putin and recent defense of Putin, saying this peace can't be one that rewards the aggressor.
Well, I think this is in part why tomorrow's meeting with President Zelenskyy is so impactful potentially, because that's really if a minerals deal is announced and reached, that gives the U.S. skin in the game. That gives the United States a financial imperative to ensure that whatever deal might be brokered between Russia and Ukraine is actually kept, that Putin keeps his word, because there will be a vested financial interest for the United States of America in Ukraine. Without that, I agree, there should be tremendous skepticism. There is no carrot or stick for the United States of America, for Russia, for anybody. But that deal with Zelenskyy, that minerals deal, could really be the key to unlocking a lasting peace.
Brian, Trump said, repeated today what he's been saying in the last week or so, that he trusts Putin to keep his word. Both Prime Minister Starmer and French President Macron, when he visited the White House, both told Trump they do not. Why does Trump trust Putin?
Because somebody needs to, if you want to bring both of them to the negotiating table. I think what the President Macron and the Prime Minister of the UK forget is that at some point you have to deal with President Putin to bring this this war to a resolution, and you have to display some level of trust. It's difficult to. I mean, Putin's the invader; he's the aggressor by every means. Ukraine has been a victim in this process.
Repeatedly, too, like not just one time. He poisons people and pushes them out windows and invades other countries. He's done it for years and years and years.
All those things you can say, but at the end of the day, President Trump knows what apparently these world leaders don't know, is that you need to sit across the table and have a conversation if you want to bring the fighting and the killing to an end. And I think that's the key moment, and that's the different thing. And that's what Starmer got right, is that President Trump created this moment for the world community, for Ukraine and for Russia to come together and talk about a path forward that stops the aggression, that stops the killing. It wasn't Starmer who created that moment. It wasn't President Macron. It was Donald Trump. And it's because he says the right rhetoric and he says the right language, because he knows how to negotiate and he knows how to bring people to the table. And that's a great step for Ukraine and a great step for Russia at this point.
Kurt, Keir Starmer said today that there would be British troops on the ground to enforce any peace deal and British planes in the air, which is a first. But he emphasized again that they need U.S. support. And Trump committed that the U.S. would be, quote, a backstop, but he doesn't elaborate on what exactly that means.
Well, I think it's important for the president not to overstate in this case, which, again, that's a restraint. That's not something we often associate with Donald Trump, frankly. In this case, you do not want to go out there and make promises that you can't keep. The idea, anything involving the potential of U.S. troops anywhere in the world being used as a backstop is very serious and has tremendous political implications here at home. And so I think the president's right not to even go down that road yet till we actually have a minerals agreement, until we actually have an economic imperative to keep the peace, until we have an agreement between President Putin and President Ukraine.
We have NATO 5 of our Article 5 of the NATO agreement, Kurt. I mean, I
think Donald Trump's made it pretty clear he doesn't give a rip about NATO. That's not something, because here's the deal. He's going to go out there and say, you can parade all the articles you want. How are you going to make me? He's going to say, we fund NATO, so good luck forcing me to do something. Good luck forcing me to use U.S. troops. He's daring Europe to stand up and say, hey, hold me to it. Otherwise, figure it out yourselves. Like that's the gambit Donald Trump's been playing. And to this point, it's working pretty well.
Brian, do you think that's true, that Trump doesn't give a rip about NATO?
No, listen, I think in his first term, it was pretty clear, and he was right. History has shown us that NATO is obsolete. Like, the whole point of NATO's existence is to stop a war in the European theater. We're physically in a war in the European theater. Now, with respect to NATO and Ukraine, Ukraine's not a NATO country. So if the UK wants to put troops, inside Ukraine and there's some aggression by Russia and it hits the U.S. troops, that doesn't trigger Article 5 by any means. It's a land. It's more of a land agreement than a troop agreement. So they have to deal with those things. But at the end of the day, NATO has to show and Europe has to show that they're serious about their own security. The biggest part they can do to guarantee their security is stop purchasing Russian energy. You still have France that's purchased a tremendous amount of Russian energy and distributing it throughout the system.
Yeah.
So you have to hold Europeans accountable for feeding the Russian war machines if you want the Americans to be accountable for stopping the Russian war machine.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.